Hey, what's going on, Ram fans? Time for my Week 10 Rams up straight up picks. Had a pretty good week last week. So did Pete, though. He actually made up some ground on me, picked up one game in the standings on me. We both put on a pretty good roll after an extremely slow start. So, how did we do last week? Let's look at the numbers. I went 13 and 2. Pete went 14 and 1. We only disagreed on one game, and it went his way. So I am at 87 correct, 51 wrong. He's at 80 correct, 58 wrong. Last week, pretty easy, really. I don't think there were a lot of games. Certainly weren't a lot of upsets. Things kind of went as planned. Um, the one we disagreed on was the Titans and Patriots. I took the Patriots on the road, so I got that one wrong, and that's where he gained on me one game. But we slow starts for both of us, but we've been on a bit of a roll, especially me. I've been doing really well the last few weeks. So what do we have this week? Well, let's start with the Bengals. 4-5 Bengals at the Ravens, 6-3. Ravens are favored by 5.5. And this is a really meaningful part of the Bengals schedule. I've been saying that they're going to go on a run here. And this is a tough spot to go on a run. They have the Ravens, and then after that, two other playoff contenders, the Chargers and the Steelers. Two teams they need to beat, though, right? If they can't get by the Ravens, because I don't think they will. This is a bad week to get rolling on the road against one of the better teams in the NFL. So that Bengals run I've been talking about doesn't start this week. I'm taking the Ravens to improve to 7-3. Giants at the Panthers. Not going to spend a lot of time on this. Both teams 2-7. I'll take the road team, the Giants, but don't dismiss the possibilities that Bryce Young and the Panthers will get another win here. The 2-7 Patriots at the 4-4 Bears. Everybody's talking about the Caleb Williams play regressing a little bit, talking about some issues in the locker room. Some players perhaps, put it this way, the coach perhaps losing that locker room a little bit. Not good. The Bears still have a shot. They could go on a run in a really tough division. They can't fall too much further behind. They got three teams ahead of them. But man, that loss to the Commanders, it probably going to take 2 weeks for that to wear off. And this is the game. Maybe they get it together. Historically, the Bears are 1-5 at New England, though. I like to talk about these trends. That's not a good one. I don't know if these trends make any sense at all. I don't know if it makes any sense to lean on these trends, but something to be aware of. Bears are favored by 6, and I think they will win this game. Not sure if they're going to cover, but taking the Bears to win. The Bills at the Colts. The Colts have won 6 straight at home against Buffalo. Another trend to be aware of. I just don't like their quarterback situation. I thought Anthony Richardson was going to have a good season. Drafted him in fantasy football, not too early, thankfully. And he has fallen out of favor there. And Joe Flacco, really talented guy. A lot of respect for him. You can pop him in there for a couple of games and he can get it done. But he's certainly not a long-term solution, right? And just not the answer for a Colts team that has a shot at the playoffs, in my opinion. But so I'm taking the Bills to win this game. Their first win in 7 tries at Indianapolis. Bills for the win. What do we got next? The Vikings at the Jags. Vikings are favored by 4.5. Coming off a win they needed badly, broke a 2-game losing streak, knocking off the Colts Sunday night. They get another AFC team here, the Jags. These teams have played 7 times. 2 of those 7 times it went into overtime. The Jags have beaten the Vikings only once, and I think this is the second time they beat the Vikings. There are some teams in the league that get much more love than they deserve, and there are teams that are dismissed too readily. And the Jags are one of them. Still a decent football team. They've looked at their schedule early on, had a couple heartbreaking losses. I like the Jags to pull the upset here. I don't think it's a big upset, in my opinion. A home underdog, 4.5 points. I think that's a little much. Going to be a good game. Jags pull it off. Broncos at the Chiefs. I thought the Broncos were going to cover against the Ravens last week. I thought their defense would keep them in the game, but they're clearly relying too heavily on their defense to keep them in games. The offense is not getting it done. Chiefs are favored by 8, which seems about right. Probably going to be a little bit low scoring. Broncos defense will keep it that way. I don't think the Chiefs are the offensive juggernaut like we have in Baltimore right now. Maybe things will improve as DeAndre Hopkins gets settled into that offense, but I'll take the Chiefs to win this one. Then you have the Falcons at the Saints. After week 2, Saints were 2-0. Falcons were the consensus favorite to win that division. You looked ahead and you thought this is going to be a big game. Well, it's a big game for the Falcons. They're 6-3. Saints 2-7. Spread's only 3.5. Now the Saints, they got their coach fired. Dennis Allen is gone. Darren Rizzi takes over as interim coach. Raheem Morris has his team pointed in the right direction. I'll say it again. There are some chinks in the Falcons' armor. If you look closely enough, they'll win this game, but I don't think, and I think they're going to win the division. I don't think they're going to win much more than that, though. The 49ers at the Bucks. 49ers got to fly across the country. They're favored by 6. Christian McCaffrey, I think he's going to play. The Bucks will put up a fight, though. A really good roster, as we saw against the Chiefs. They're missing their top 2 receivers, and they still took the Chiefs into overtime. 49ers have dominated in the series, 20 wins, 7 losses. But keep in mind, a lot of those games, the Bucks are, they've had their moments, but they've had some periods where they were pretty dreadful. And I think the 49ers got rich during those periods still. And the Bucks have won 4 of the last 6 at home as well. Another trend, a trend I will ignore. The 49ers win this game. Steelers at the Commanders. So you got a really good offensive team going up against a team, the Steelers, that just plays really solid defense and fundamentally sound football on both sides of the ball. Commanders are favored by 3. This is a game that really curious to see what happens. I think the Steelers are one of those teams, like what I talked about, the Jags being dismissed too readily by people as being this crappy team. And I think the Steelers are one of those teams that get a little more love than they deserve. I think the Commanders win this game, and I think they cover as well. Titans at the Chargers, 2 of the better defenses in the league. It's kind of interesting. The Titans have given up the fewest yards per game in the league, 269 yards per game, but they're still giving up 27 points a game. So I haven't done a deep dive into that. Must be an explanation for it. The Chargers, meanwhile, are 8th in yards allowed per game and are only giving up 13 points per game. So what does it tell you? This game's going to be played in the teens, and I don't mean temperature. I mean score-wise. Probably looking at a score something like 16-10. Unless there's a couple of catastrophic turnovers. That's the type of game you're looking at here. Chargers at home, I think they win 16-10. The Jets at the Cardinals. Jets had some extra time to prepare. They at last played on the Thursday night, but not sure if that's going to be enough to hang with a Cardinals team that's really rolling. This will be a battle, though. The Jets are 3-6, but they're favored by 1. So, yeah, if this game was played on day 1, I made this comment about the Rams-Dolphins game. If they were meeting on opening day and they were both healthy and we knew nothing else about them, probably be a pick'em game. Dolphins might even be favored, yet the Rams are favored. In this game, kind of the same deal. But the Jets are favored. Big game for them because they are still relevant. They could still make a run. They have the players to get it done, don't they? And we'd like them to get it done. This is probably the most difficult game for me to pick. Cardinals are such an inconsistent team. When they're good, they look really good. Wow. What do I do with this one? I think I'm going to go with the Jets. I mean, I would really like the Jets to win, so we'll go with the Jets. Eagles at the Cowboys. Eagles are 7-point road favorites. Cooper Rush will be the quarterback, apparently. Dak Prescott out. I think the Eagles win big. The Cowboys are just in disarray. Maybe, a divisional game at home. They rise to the occasion, but I just don't see it. They don't have a run game. Cooper Rush, probably a decent backup quarterback. CD Lamb was banged up last week, assuming he's going to play. But what else? What else what are the Cowboys hanging their hat on right now? It's not their coaching. I don't know. It's not Micah Kaiser. So they're in trouble. Eagles win. Lions at the Texans. Another game of the week for the Lions, I guess, right? Two in a row. The one against the Packers turned out to be a bit of a dud. On paper, Lions 7-1, Texans 6-3, but Texans are the home team. Man, on paper, a really, really good game. This is only the sixth time they have played. The Texans lead 4 wins, 1 loss. And the Lions, they're my number one team. Aiden Hutchinson went down. They finally pick up his replacement, Zadarius Smith. I think the Lions win this game. They're just playing so well, firing on all cylinders. And I still think the Texans are going to be a team to deal with in the playoffs, certainly more than a team like the Steelers, but the Lions win this one. Dolphins at the Rams. That's our game, right? And I already talked about it at the roundtable, and I'll be talking about it in my preview that I provide probably Saturday morning since it's a Monday night game. Dolphins will have the edge when the ball is in the air, regardless of who has the ball. They're gonna they're gonna be chucking the ball over the field. Their pass defense is really good. But the Rams, wide receiving core looking pretty darn good too. I think the Rams will get to Tua. Got to be careful here because their running backs are really fast. You got to be disciplined. It's a tough challenge, a really big challenge for this Rams team. Probably not the ideal matchup for them. But the Dolphins, their defensive stats are pretty good. But as someone pointed out on our YouTube channel, look at the quarterbacks they have faced this year. They haven't dealt with quarterbacks of the caliber that they're facing Monday night with the Rams. So maybe the edge goes to the Rams there when the Rams have the ball and Matthew Stafford starts chucking it around with guys like Jalen Ramsey and Jordan Poyer back there. I think Kyron Williams has a big day, though. He's had a little bit trouble getting going last week. Seems like all 3 of his big runs got called back for holding calls. So I think he gets going. Rams win a close one and improve to 5-4. And if this all comes to pass, that would leave a bit of a bottleneck in the NFC West. But man, good times. Rams improve to 5-4 and then head across the country to play the Patriots with a very good shot at getting to 6-4. Pretty incredible considering how we felt about this team after that Packers game. Those are my Rams Up Straight Up picks for week 10 out here from Rams Up.